Hi, this is Peggy with Natural Awakenings, and I'm pleased to be here today with Susan Curry of InteriorWerx. And Susan describes herself as a health and happiness coach, but also an energy frequency intuitive. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you, Peggy. I'm so happy and joyous and
Yeah.
honored to be on your program here. Thank you.
Yeah. So first off, let's get started with what is an energy frequency intuitive?
So I like to call it a secret agent woman coaching style because as an intuitive and empath, um, I can pick up frequencies that are residing in the body that probably you don't want to hang out with, like sorrow, fear, those things that you just probably don't want to carry around with you. I happen to be a detector of those. And what's cooler about that, I mean, because when I was learning about this modality, it was kind of irritating just to know everything. But the cooler part is I've researched and I've done my own personal research program that eliminates or gets to the root of that fear and then dissipates, I should say, dissipates that fear. And then you don't have that cycle happening again. So it's a detective, intuitive coaching that will get to the root issue. Otherwise, it's just a cycle. And like the modern psychiatry programs, you would just have to come and see me every week because we just have to keep digging. But this program gets at the root of it, pulls it out, sometimes in one session. Sometimes it's 3 sessions, depends on the person. So that's what I love about this. So it's energy and frequency, and it's detecting it, and then it's eliminating it. So then your body's lined up for the healthy, happy program that it's signed up for in the first place.
And we can
right?
start moving forward in life
Yeah.
and not be as stuck. Well, I would imagine it's been an interesting year, of course. That's an understatement. With so many things happening and COVID and changes in people's lives. What are you seeing right now? What's happening energetically? What's happening with people? Are we stuck? Are we moving forward? What are you seeing with people who are calling you?
So most of it is fear and anxiety, of course, and fear of the future, fear of germs. Big thing about germs, which, quite frankly, I'm not joyous about the fear molecule, but the fear molecule has helped me line up people in a way that I've been personally practicing, and then some of my clients have been practicing a certain kind of hygiene prior to all of this.
Yeah.
That goes right in line with what is being prescribed, So I'm like, hey, you guys, everybody's just catching up.
I think one of the big things that so many of us are experiencing to any degree is a lot of stress right now. And the stress could be tied into the fear. The stress can be tied into changes in job, in home, in financial, in relationships. And that has all sorts of effects on us. And I know when you and I have talked in the past, and as we were prepping for this conversation, we were talking about how to identify, is this actual stress? Is it good stress? Is it natural stress? Or is this stress that is harmful to us? And what can we do to move forward? So before we talk about how to release the stress, what is stress and how do we identify it?
So stress, stress was set up for our bodies to be able to, it's a survival tool. So if you feel this anxiety, stress, which, it's kind of all, it's fear is all laced into that, shall we say, right? It's a survival tool that says, get out of town, move away from that, whatever, that lion that's coming to your, baby bears, comes into your den, so that little, so you can use that and catapult, away from that which is, giving you that experience, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the modern world, we're not, running from lions and tigers and bears, but we have stressors of basically our routine and listening to other people's lamenting, I'll call it, or listening to other people's fears. And you can be in an office situation, and then just, if somebody has an emotion, it can go, it, like, you know, there's a lot of people that, like, they'll walk into a cafe or something, and they'll pick up that, you know, they're like, oh God,
Tension in the air.
they can feel the tension in the air, and they don't know what to do with it. Number one, they don't know if it's theirs. They don't know, you know, like in these days, you're not running from the lion. So we've been socialized to be in it, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't been trained, and this is what I do, to kind of bring it out, you know, like out it. I call it bring it out of the closet, out it, and then decide whether it's theirs that you're picking up, or it's yours that's telling you to move, or you know. So I teach people how to decipher, is it somebody that they're just by and they're picking this up? And that's like the real true virus, right? I mean, when people are concerned about covering their mouth and picking up a virus, the true virus are the emotional viruses that people give to everybody all day long, on a phone call, on whatever, you know. Though that's the real, I think. And so I teach people, you know what I mean? Like, I teach people how to discern, is it theirs? And how do I use this as a tool? Or is it somebody else's, and how do I release it and allow it to go around me? You know, as that's a tool for them in their tool chest too. So
Yeah.
really interesting.
So what types of things could people be doing right now? And I know obviously they're going to learn more if they call you and you do some consulting with them, but what types of things could we be doing just every day to release when we see we're at a point of stress?
So it's basically saying, you know, I feel you, I see you, and I release you. So it's like, you know, like, instead of trying to go with the chocolate bar or the food crunchies, you know, a lot of people do that, or just being real giddy, right? Those are tools people have been using, but they're not, you know, it's claiming like, okay, I feel fear. You know, I see it, I can, you know, and I release you. So it's just like, you know, you're there, but I'm choosing to release you. And just that kind of simple cycle can get you through a little bit, which will get you away from, okay, did I just have the conversation and that triggered something? That's my work. Every trigger is your work anyway. Okay. So if somebody's, you know, says something and it triggers you, it's your work, because you're the one riding in that body.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, they're always doing this to me. Well, it's your job to not allow it to be, you know, which means, and there's different tools for that, you know. And so I teach tools on how to navigate around it, but claim that, okay, I feel fear. This is fear. I feel it and I'm releasing it. And that's probably the number one something, you know, that tangible that somebody could take from this conversation and start using today. So,
what about things like stepping away from stress? If you know it's a stressful situation, are there some things that to diffuse it before it starts?
Well, that's two different things. So there's pre-paving, where it won't start, right? And then there's stepping away from a situation, which again, that's that, you know, moving away from the lion, right? So that's that instant survival thing, is just get out of the location or the person that you're having the trigger with, so that you can be in your ownness and release it. That's number one. And then the other side of that is the fear molecule, just digging back, because again, it's your, you know, digging back and trying to find the root. I mean, that's where I come in. I don't recommend people trying to do that themselves, because then you get more in the stories, and make it deeper if you don't get the right story. It's kind of like, it's kind of like going for the sliver and just making this big hole that's worse. You know, I can go right for the sliver and pull it out quickly. And that's, you know, so, but avoidance, of course, is great, but still that avoidance, you still have your head that is replaying it over and over and over and over. So that's the part that has to get, you know, that's when you know, that's the part you have to do your work with. And some people, it depends on their personality traits too. Athletes are better at releasing stress, just FYI. Because when you think about it, an athlete that's training and say, clips his knee while he's running, may not even look at the knee until after the race, right? Where somebody who's not an athlete who clips his knee, it's like, oh, that was the worst thing. And they're on lamenting, right? About and making it worse, right? And they'll tell all their friends, they'll share the blah, blah, blah with all their friends, right? So,
is that a matter of focus then?
Well, I call it emotional athletes. I mean, you could be an emotional athlete without being a physical athlete. So an emotional athlete is like, okay, I see you, I release you, boom, I'm done, next. But there's not that many, it's masculine energy. So again, then it's like for women specifically, it's training them that masculine energy is on their side. It is a powerful tool, and not to be afraid of their masculine energy. Okay. Men are easier. It's easier for them to, okay, there it is. Okay, I see you. Okay, boom, you're done. Because it's that masculine energy. So women, I work with more women, first getting their masculinity okay with them, right? And then giving them that power tool to use on a daily basis. So masculine energy installed, and I'm going to call it installed, in a female body is an amazingly wonderful stress reducing tool. And I highly recommend, females doing work with me to get that, get that going. Because masculine energy, not only does it do stress release, but it does manifestation, instant manifestation, gloriousness that females just have not. I mean, some females do, I'm not saying that, but they just haven't been, they haven't read this book. They haven't read this book.
Well,
and so,
can you explain that a little, the manifestation?
Okay. So, masculine, okay. So if you don't mind a small story, when I get triggered, and I call it anger as a power tool. Okay. Because anger, we kind of categorize as masculine energy. Okay. Even though it's everybody, when I have a contrast trigger, like something happens and I'm like, no, I want this. And then I stomp on the ground. Seriously, I've had like a 50-second turnover. So I was at a baseball game with my son, for an example. It was his championship game. I was like, I want a professional photo of my son now. I want to. And I looked up, and across the park came this gentleman with this huge lens, big, and he heard me say it out loud, and he said, I'm at your service. And he was a professional photographer. I mean, that was a 20-second.
Yeah.
It came from my lips. I stomped on the ground, and there he was. And I have the best, most magnificent photo of my son, which was my desire. That was my goal. So
and
women
it manifested.
Yeah, and it manifested. And so like women that I've trained, like they wouldn't ever scream at the park. I mean, I was loud. I mean, I was loud at the park. It's like women are socialized. Oh, there's people around, be quiet. We're so used to navigating around like a fish, right? But I was like, rawr, and that, and I didn't care who heard me, what they thought of, I was like, this is,
And it happened.
Yeah. So that's a fabulous tool, and that masculine energy then can be used as a stress releaser too, because it's like, I see you, I release you, I'm done. I see you, I release you, I'm done.
Move on.
Yeah.
Super
good.
So can I ask you, speaking of stories, about your jacket? You said your jacket is your story.
So this is a custom-made jacket, and as you can see, it's a newspaper. It's a newspaper jacket, right? And I had it made specifically because I remove people's old stories. This is the old news. Okay. When you live in your old news, you keep repeating your old patterns. Now, if you live in your old news and you won the lottery, we're going to play that front and center, right?
Yeah.
But if you live in your old news that somebody, whatever, did something wrong to you, then that's going to be replayed. So I get in there, get those old stories that are not serving you,
Mm-hmm.
and take them out. So I'm like, okay. And when I'm done with work, I take it off.
There you go. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Susan.
Yeah.
So if our viewers and Natural Awakenings readers want to reach out to you, what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, the website is the best way because I've got this fantastic scheduling opportunity that you can do a 15-minute complimentary consultation, which will kind of line up what needs to be done and how we're going to get there. And that's on my website, which is the InteriorWerx website, .us. And InteriorWerx is spelled with a W-E for energy, R for release, and X for experience. So InteriorWerx.us. And then, yeah, and then there's a promo code is my first session. So they would put that into the promo bar, my first session, for a 15-minute, and we'll get to, health, business, relationships, interpersonal issues, family dynamics, children's allergies, health things that you're working on, health projects, nutritional information. So, yeah, I'm happy to help. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Susan. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Namaste. Thanks so much.
Namaste.
Peggy.
We'll talk again soon.
Okay. Bye for now.